Headline award time. Congratulations, Philadelphia Daily News. The demise of Osama bin Laden. Philadelphia Daily News went with the following: "We got the bastard."
And Trump is the butt of Obama and even, well, actually everyone's jokes at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
And Trump darn near has a bigger butt than I do. How you doing, everybody? I'm Chet Kopic along with
Catherine Saxon.
Welcome to Culture Clash, where age discrimination is a way of life. I know you're on my case already about my sweater.
Yes.
This sweater was big.
Bringing 80s back.
This sweater was really big. Just about the time that Rick Springfield released Jesse's Girl.
Okay. You told me it was a year old, so I'm sorry to question you. Jesse's Girl. Do, do, do,
That's what I said.
do.
You can't even sing Jesse's Girl.
All right, it might be out of tune, but, you know, I have the beat. No? Okay. Well, anyway, what should we first talk about?
Well, I think we should talk about Osama bin Laden. And I think, you know, what's interesting to me is
Biggest headliner, obviously.
Pakistan has a global reputation for intelligence and counterintelligence. Nobody convinces me that Pakistan did not know that Osama bin Laden was living in the lap of quasi-luxury on the Pakistani-Afghanistan border for 5 or 6 years, whatever the case may be.
I think it was 6. I'm pretty sure that they knew about it. I don't know how they couldn't. I mean, it was a compound, so I think that we're going to have some issues about whether or not these people are, in fact, our allies. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree with that, but I think in the bigger picture, what I've found to be somewhat interesting is this. Everybody is jumping up and down right now. At least you have a lot of political pundits, and for that reason, men on the street who are saying, this guarantees Obama will be our president for a second term. No! We're paying almost $5 right now for a gallon of gas. The economy will still be an albatross for Osama bin Laden, but here is why Obama gets a second term. Who the hell is going to run against him?
Okay, that's true, but we still have another year to sort of develop, you know, another candidate to run against him. But I think that this really just partially saved him. He still is the economy. I have to agree with you on that. And, you know, he's not out of the hole just yet, I have to say.
Well, but I mean, you know, this country is bleeding right now. This country is wrapped up in foreclosures, wrapped up in financial frustration. Eventually, Obama, going into Iowa, going into New Hampshire, is going to have to answer. Keep your eyes on Mike Huckabee. He may be a hillbilly, but he's a likable hillbilly. He plays the guitar. He'll do well on Letterman. He'll do well on Leno. He'll be a talk show favorite. He may wind up carrying the Republican banner.
Okay, he said it here first, guys. Did you watch the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the, you know, media reports on all of that?
I caught bits and pieces of it, and I was glad to see that Barack Obama came out and actually began to not only jab, but throw the uppercut at Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. He started it off with, "My fellow Americans." I even loved his intro. And he said, well, now that we figured out this whole birther issue, Trump can focus on more important things like whether or not we actually landed on the moon and where the heck are, you know, Tupac and Biggie. So I thought that was, I want his writer for the show. I thought that was pretty witty.
I mean, do you find Donald Trump to be as unlikable as I do?
You know, I actually, I don't like him at all, actually, after all of, you know, the limelight that he's been in recently. But before, I sort of saw him as a smart businessman, not ever a presidential candidate. But did you see his facial reaction when Obama and others were...
He just sat there and looked grumpy.
He was biting his tongue. I think that he started to, you know, sweat profusely. It looked like he was so angry.
Every day I think I'm having a lousy hair day. All I have to do is look at Donald
that
Trump.
guy. So true. Seth Meyers, who was the host for the night, said, Trump is toying with running for president as a Republican. I thought that running was a joke. So, I mean, and everyone was cracking up. So I have to say, obviously, the joke is on him.
I mean, would you seriously consider looking at Donald Trump as a presidential candidate? Because anybody who would look at Donald Trump as a presidential candidate, I immediately recommend significant and extended couch therapy.
Are you gonna pay for that?
At $250 an hour, you got to be kidding. What do you think it costs for this sweater? The flea market only opens in August.
Okay, well, I have to say that, you know, if you look at one of Obama's issues was that we didn't think that he was credible enough and that he had enough experience. So you look at Trump, I mean, what, he's a billionaire?
He ran a gambling casino in Atlantic City.
I don't get it. But He also, he's been under a lot of scrutiny, obviously. He canceled on Letterman. Letterman was quoted saying, maybe this is a smack of racism here. You have the birther issue, and then he was questioning whether or not...
I'm so worn out about Barack Obama and the birth certificate.
Well, he also
For heaven's sakes, he's the leader of the free world. He's got 10,000 things right now that are more important than his birth certificate, except the fact that he is a bona fide American. He's as American as you and I are.
Absolutely.
For heaven's sakes.
Hey,
it's ridiculous.
I think it's ridiculous.
And it's all driven by guys like O'Reilly and the right wingers on cable. I blame them for all this mess.
On cable? On Fox?
On Fox. Thank you.
Well, I mean, the other point that he was making was, he didn't really go to Harvard Law School, or so I have to agree. It's after a while you question, okay, is this a smack of racism? But you can't just cancel whenever somebody insults you. What, Trump, if you're the president, are you going to cancel every time somebody makes you upset? I don't think that's how you're going to be able to handle situations. So,
by the way, going back to Obama for a moment.
Okay, I didn't know we were off of it.
I would have loved to have seen the expression on the face of the headline writer who told his editor, "I'm going with the following. We got the bastard." I mean, that's something you only expect to see in the New York Post.
Well, those headliners are sort of making me nervous because, okay, Bin Laden's deceased, obviously, but he's going to be easily replaced, and the retaliation factor, I don't know if it's inevitable, but it's definitely high up there, and it makes me nervous. I don't think we should be dancing in the streets quite yet. So
there will be a half a dozen books out within 4 or 5 months stating the following or thereabouts. Number 1, Bin Laden is still alive. Number 1, or make that number 2 rather, Bin Laden actually died. I get confused going from 1 to 2.
1, 2, it's tough. It's
kind of
tough.
a difficult transition.
Right.
Bin Laden actually died 5 years ago. Number 3, why was his body buried at sea so rapidly? Why weren't Americans given the opportunity to see the corpse of Osama bin Laden? This is going to be like the assassination of John F. Kennedy, when there were a slew of books which took the Warren Report and absolutely left it in tatters. Mark my words, there'll be at least a half a dozen books, maybe 15 books, declaring that there is something significantly fishy about the demise of Osama bin Laden.
Well, duh. That's all I have to say to that.
That's the best you can do is give me a duh?
I mean, come on, of course, yeah.
20 years in this business, the best thing is a duh.
I mean, he's living on a compound.
Thanks a lot, Mike. I appreciate it.
I was trying to be nice by saying duh. I mean, it was kind of a little bit, common sense. I was feeling like this is a little fishy.
Common sense has no place on this show.
Oh, true.
I thought you'd learned that after 3 big weeks.
Okay, well, I was reading about this, that a former Bears NFL player, I was wondering if you could put me up to date on this.
Well, you're talking about David Duerson, number
right.
22, who I was very, very honored back in 1987. I was chosen Man of the Year by the Chicago chapter of the Italian American Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you very, very much.
Woo!
Thank you, studio audience. I appreciate it. Corey, pass the bagels.
Don't.
Anyway, my presenter for my award was Dave Duerson.
Okay.
He's African American. I'm Bohemian. The presentation took place in front of 1,000 Italians. Here's where I think people are missing the boat about Dave Duerson. Yes, the medics in Boston determined that he did suffer brain damage from playing football. But the brain damage manifested its way, in my opinion, into an extraordinary amount of guilt. For a long time, Catherine, Dave Duerson could do no wrong. Then the marriage went south, his businesses went south. I maintain that as much as Dave Duerson elected to pull the trigger and create his own demise, it wasn't done because of traditional brain damage. It was done because this man was suffering from a remarkable degree of shame, and the man he should have loved the most, Dave Duerson, became the man he hated the most, thus the suicide.
Well, okay, obviously you know more about his personal well-being than I do. I was more thinking about from the perspective that, obviously the mental illness most likely stemmed from football and being smacked around so much and trauma to the head. So, when you think about, Little League and how we have pitch counts for, 10-year-olds and, so they don't get tendonitis, but we don't care as much about football. The point is obviously to get smacked around. So I just think that that's an interesting factor, and it makes me. I have a nephew who's 8. It makes me a little bit nervous.
Good look, and a couple of things to keep in the back of your mind. Right now, I am of the opinion that no youth under the age of 14 years old should be allowed to play legitimate competitive tackle football. Number 2, football as we know it will exist in 10 years for one reason: gambling. Gambling has always been the NFL's so-called great concern, when the fact is gambling drives professional football. You take gambling away from pro football, TV numbers on Sunday would drop 30, 35, maybe 40%. Gambling will be the salvation of pro football, because this game, no matter what you do from the standpoint of safety, unless you go to flag football, head injuries are going to continue to magnify. They're going to continue to grow exponentially. Again, you heard it here first.
Woo! Okay. I'm tired after that. Well, all right. Before we move forward, I'm just wondering, how do you sort of stop this from happening? I know that they were looking into different padding, different helmets, but it makes me nervous. That is this inevitable for, if children that are playing in high school, then go off to college, then go into the pros?
You don't, because it's a game of machismo. The best example I can give you is Dan Hampton. Dan is a big, good-looking guy, a big, strapping Hall of Famer from Cabot, Arkansas, a magnificent football player. He's had 18 knee surgeries. His ring finger on his right hand is bent so badly that it can almost repulse you in a roundabout way. But Dan Hampton will tell you very candidly, he wears those injuries as a badge of honor. These guys have an entirely different psyche than we have. We see a knee injury. I have a knee injury. I get surgery. It's a pain in the neck. They have a knee surgery, multiple knee surgeries. They wind up with busted ribs. They wind up with a head injury. To them, even though they might not want to admit it, those are badges of honor. It means I did something you can't do.
And I'm getting paid millions of dollars to do it. Okay, that's a good point. Nevada Republican Senator John Ensign resigned. Did you hear about this?
Yes, I did.
He's been having an investigation that's been going on for the past 2 years about, violating a code of ethics. He had an affair with a former aide. So I don't get why you would have an investigation going on for 2 years. Either he violated the code or he didn't. But he said that when he resigned, that he can't put his family through any more trauma.
Oh my gosh. That sounds like Elliot Spitzer. Client number 9.
I don't get politicians how they think that they can get away with this anymore. It's you're obviously in the spotlight. You're a politician, and you sign this code of ethics, and then just get divorced. I'd rather you get divorced, and I'll still want you to be my politician.
Can you tell me why wives who live with these guys in good faith always stand behind their man? Always show up at the press conference, even though they've been totally humiliated, stand by their man, and, in my opinion, look a little bit stupid.
I agree, but I think that when it happens, it all happens so fast, and you're sort of in a moment of shock, and there's most of the times there's children involved, and you still have strong feelings for your spouse, and you're feeling like maybe this is the right thing to do for the public. Public opinion. Okay, Cary Grant's daughter, which I know you know who Cary Grant is. He's probably a heartthrob even for you.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I debuted Cary Grant back in 1927.
You debuted him?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
In what year?
1927.
Okay.
That was about 1,000 years after I parted the Red Sea.
I was going to say, you're older than I thought. Okay, well, his daughter...
Also, I was in the Ford Theater the night that Lincoln got whacked. Still asked his wife, how'd you like to play?
Jennifer Grant, anyway, back to important stuff. She's writing a memoir about her father, and when there was, allegations that he was gay, homosexual, and she cleared the rumor that he wasn't, but that he just thought that it created more attention from the ladies.
Am I supposed to believe that?
Well, I was thinking maybe that it would be a good angle for you to take up. You're going to tell me stop denying the rumors.
You're going to tell me next that Rock Hudson was straight? I find that one a little hard to swallow.
I
Maybe
don't
that's
know.
not the right word I want to use in that situation.
I think it could be possible that if he probably didn't bother him that so many people were attracted to him, and he thought, hey, maybe this will make me more desirable for the ladies, and it got me thinking maybe this could help you out.
Well, he was.
Stop denying the rumors. Stop denying the rumors, and the ladies will come crawling in.
And with that, we bid you a farewell right here on the Culture Clash. I'm Chet Coppock along with
Catherine Saxon.
And we're brought to you by the marvelous people at Flood Brothers Disposal Service. Take care. We'll see you next week right here on Culture Clash. Meanwhile, peace, love, and Rodney Dangerfield. So long, everybody.